Hey, I'm ChristopherJMUA and welcome back to my channel. Unless you've never been here, of course, then welcome. I'm so glad you stopped by. Today we're reviewing the brand new release from Selena Gomez Rare Beauty. I've attempted to gather one of almost every product from Sephora so we can give the full brand and every product they have a nice thorough review, see what kind of products are within the brand and its initial launch, and test out all of the products so that I can give you my initial first impressions. So if that's something that sounds like fun to you, if you do want to know a little bit more about Rare Beauty, what the brand consists of, what kind of products they have, and how the products perform with this look, then stay exactly where you are, keep doing exactly what you're doing, and keep on watching. Now, as I said before, this is Selena Gomez. Now, as I said before, this is Selena Gomez's brand. This is her first initial launch, and this is available at Sephora exclusively. Now, this was a pretty impressive launch, in my opinion, for an initial launch. Most brands don't have the money to be able to just start out and put out an entire line of products, but Selena did, which leads me to believe that either she's been saving capital for a very long time so that she could invest in this, or she's being backed by another brand, like Kendo Brands, maybe. And that's the brand who owns like KVD Vegan Beauty and Fenty Beauty. I don't even know all the brands, honestly. But either way, I would assume it's one of those cases. Now on Sephora's website, it looks like there's 17 different products that launch within the Rare Beauty range. I have with me today 9 products. There are tools like brushes, there's a different size face primer, there's a beauty sponge, a powder puff, a blotting kit, and a blotting paper refill kit. Those are the products that I didn't get. For the initial review, I didn't really feel like I needed blotting paper. I mean, blotting paper is blotting paper. You know, you kind of can't really go wrong with blotting paper. You blot with it. Pretty straightforward. But I do have all of the actual cosmetic products that I can use on my face. So we're just gonna go in order of what I would actually use to complete a full face of makeup and tell you about the products as I go. I do want to let you know that I did start by priming my face with my Milk Makeup Blur Stick. I need a pore filling primer, and this line does not have a pore filling primer. I can't not use a pore filling primer. I have to. Every time, guaranteed. That being said, this is the Always an Optimist Illuminating Primer. This comes in 2 different sizes, a mini or travel and a full size. The mini is 0.5 ounces for $14, and the full size is almost 1 ounce for $26. That is pretty neck and neck with most primers at Sephora, I would say. I would probably actually put that a little lower than most primers. This is the mini or the travel size. I didn't know if I was gonna like it with it being illuminating, so I didn't really want to invest in the full size, just in case. A lot of the time, illuminating products are kind of scary since I am such a porous person, because illuminating products usually emphasize pores. The overall vibe of this line reminds me a lot of Glossier. It's like if you combined Glossier and Fenty Beauty and they had a baby. That is what this brand looks like to me. But I don't know if that's true. Let's find out for sure. The packaging, by the way, is very sleek, minimalistic, clean. I like that. And then the component itself, very Fenty Beauty. Very. Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Primer, Rare Beauty Illuminating Primer. They're very close. I just can't help but notice the similarities between them. And that's probably gonna come up a lot through multiple products, so I'll probably stop referencing it now. But let's see what this primer looks like. Woo! Oh, it's not scented, just so you're aware. So I don't really know that it emphasizes texture any more than any other illuminating primer, but it does slightly. It reminds me a lot of the Charlotte Tilbury Wonder Glow Instant Soft Focus Primer and also the NYX High Glass Face Primer. The NYX High Glass is a lot more illuminating, but it does remind me of just the soft, glowy, subtle sheen that the Wonder Glow has. The next product is the Liquid Touch Weightless Foundation. This foundation comes in 48 shades, which I'm thoroughly impressed by. That's kind of what solidifies the idea that there's some kind of backing for the brand, because that's a huge launch for an initial launch for a brand. And when it comes to inclusivity, the brand definitely delivered. There's a nice even range between light tones, medium tones, and deep tones. However, I do feel like there is enough room for some expansion on the deep dark tones. I really only see 4 probably that are deep dark, but I can't necessarily speak to that. Just in my opinion, I think there could be more deep dark because it is a little light medium heavy. I picked the shade 130 in. I don't know if it's gonna match because obviously we can't use testers right now and shade match ourselves, but we're gonna try. I did get this in store at Sephora. I completely didn't mean to do it. I was actually going live on Instagram with my friend Danielle Nicole, as we frequently do go live together on Instagram, and I went to TJ Maxx to pick up a couple of things, and I was only gonna spend $100, so I spent $50 at TJ Maxx, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go check out Sephora, see if there's any new things that I can get for 50 bucks that I can just play with on our Instagram live. And then I saw that they had Rare Beauty in store, and I didn't know if I was gonna review this or not, but once I picked up that $50 worth of products, I was like, you know what, let's just do it. Let's just go there, so I did. And then I ended up with the entire collection, and here we are. So the Liquid Touch Weightless Foundation component looks like this. This foundation was $29. Again, very fair pricing for Sephora, actually a little lower than fair pricing. I would say most foundations I see at Sephora range from probably $35 to $45-ish. So I feel like this is a pretty fair price, as long as it's good. Let's see if it will match. Oh, it's a doe foot. Okay. Does it have a pump too, or is it just a doe foot? Does the ball twist? Nope. Okay, it's just a doe foot. I feel like there's a lot of people that aren't gonna like that because that's not the most sanitary thing. Do I have to shake this up? Shake well. Okay. Yes. I do have to. Oh, there's a little ball inside of it. That makes sense because there's one on top too. So, as a makeup artist with a kit, it is kind of gross that it has a doe foot applicator, because anytime you have a product that you touch your skin or face with and you put it back into the bottle, that is harboring bacteria. It's harboring germs, mold grows, and that's just gross. Then you shake up the mold within the foundation and ugh, no. So this will be something that for a makeup artist to use, it would have to be used like on a mixing palette or the back of the artist's hand or something like that. So obviously this wasn't necessarily geared for makeup artists specifically. It's probably just geared for the average person. Since I am not going to be using this on any clients and just myself, I'm gonna go ahead and just get those germs and dirty grossness all over my face. I think that's gonna be okay for a shade match. The doe foot's super soft. Let's start with this and see what happens. Now the collection launched with a foundation brush, a concealer brush, and a big giant extra porous sponge. So I'm gonna try a brush on one side and a sponge on the other just to give it a shot. And the closest sponge that I have to the Rare Beauty sponge is this e.l.f. sponge that's extra porous. So I'm gonna be using this sponge to blend out the left side. And then I'll use the L'Oreal Los Angeles L11 to blend out the right side. Okay, maybe this foundation shade was a little light. We're gonna blend it out and hope for the best. Is that scented? Oh, no, it's not scented. It smells like the Wet n Wild foundation. This is super liquidy. It is a very wet foundation. It kind of reminds me a lot of those more serum-based foundations, like the number 7, the Morphe 2. That's probably the one that I would most closely compare it to, is the Morphe 2 foundation. I reviewed that one pretty recently, and even though it was super wet, it was so beautiful on the skin. If you haven't seen that video and you want to see what the whole Morphe 2 collection looked like, I'll leave it linked up here so you can check it out and kind of see what I had to say about it, so you could see what kind of differences this might have compared to that. I don't really remember if the pricing was on par to this or if it was less. This foundation is definitely a little light for me though. But alas, we are here. I'm actually sort of surprised at the level of coverage that I'm getting out of this. Instead of it being light, it's more of a medium light. And I did think it was going to be a lot lighter based on how liquidy it was. Aside from looking like a ghost, this actually looks pretty beautiful. I'm glad it's a little more coverage than I thought it was going to be. It's still not quite as much as I normally enjoy, because I can still see some of the blue tones from my beard and where my facial hair is trying to grow in, but it does look really beautiful on the skin. Now before I move on to concealer, I want to go ahead and see if I can build up the foundation a little bit more. That way we can see if we can get more than this kind of coverage out of it. Now the foundation was able to build up even more. Now instead of it looking like I'm wearing a foundation that's too light for me, it just looks like I'm really pale. So it does build up to a medium. And the next product is the Liquid Touch Brightening Concealer. This is also in the shade 130N. They do have it set up where every foundation shade has its sister concealer shade. So it's easy to find your right shade. When you find your right shade, it's easy to find the right one for you. And obviously the concealers also come in 48 shades just like the foundation since they do correspond with each other, but the concealer is $19, which is even better. By the way, with the foundation you get 1 ounce of product, and with the concealer you get 0.25 ounces of product, which is pretty much mostly standard. Really just depends on which brand you're looking at, but they are pretty much about the same. Oh, it also says this concealer is a moisturizing concealer. That's interesting. It's not technically a doe foot either. It's like a wedge, I guess. This feels so different. It feels nice though. It's not a bad thing. It just feels weird. I feel like it gives me a little more control, honestly. And now I'm just gonna blend the concealer out with my little baby sponge here. And we're gonna see what she looks like. It's so weird to me how putting these liquid products on at first, when they're opaque before they're blended out, they actually look like the color that's dotted on the top of it. But then once they get blended out for some reason, they blend out lighter. It does look like the concealer is just a slight bit brighter than the foundation. It's also more opaque, so we have a little more coverage from the concealer for sure. So while it is drying down a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and go off camera and use my Fenty Freestyle Cheeks Out bronzer in the shade 03 Macchiato and just bronze up the skin a little bit, and I will be right back. I'm now positively bronzed, and let's do this little transfer test and see what happens. I mean, yeah, it transferred. Can you see? It's got a nice, smooth little layer of foundation on my fingers where I just put them, and I have some little fingerprints on my forehead. So it's not transfer proof. While it's not set. I don't know if it's 150,000% dry or not for sure. I mean, it feels like it was dry, just not transfer proof. So I would recommend setting it at least a little bit, but for me, I'm not that person. I will always be setting my foundation and concealer. But before I can do that, we have a couple more products to use. The first one being the Soft Pinch Matte Liquid Blush. There's actually 2 different formulas of this blush, the matte, like I have here, and also a dewy or glowy version. It looks like there are 8 different shades, and I have the shade Grace, which is a matte, bright, rosy mauve. There's actually quite a few of these that I wanted, but strictly for this review, I just wanted to try and get one of each product so that we could just give a fair analysis of everything. Now these blushes are $20 each. Now with the blush, it's the exact same component as the concealer, only difference is it has a metal lid or like a silver metallic instead of the matte white lid. I kind of prefer the silver metallic, although not great for fingerprints and making it smudgy looking. I like the shiny chrome top. It looks like it's a round felt tip applicator, probably a little hollow spot at the end of it to hold on to some of the pigment. Ooh, that already started drying. Oh no. Oh! Even though I look absolutely ridiculous right now, it's a really pretty color, at least. Okay, maybe it wasn't drying as quickly as I thought it was, because I can still blend it pretty well. I'm gonna take a little on the nose and some above the brow. I would now definitely say 3 dots of blush is probably a little much. Maybe use 1 at first and build accordingly. I actually really like that. I'm gonna go ahead and use our next product, which is the Positive Light Liquid Luminizer. This is a liquid highlighter, which is $22 and comes in 8 different shades, just like the blush. I have the shade Enlighten, which is a champagne shade. I tried to pick all of the shades within the collection that would work with anything, really, since I didn't really know how they were gonna pair together. And the component for the liquid highlighter is the same kind of build and structure as the rest of the products, but it's a different size component that we haven't seen yet with the other products. It does look like it's a really beautiful color, and that kind of looks like it would be potentially universally flattering. It's got the same kind of applicator as the blush does, and we're just gonna put it right on the high points of our cheek. Whoa! Wow, that's really pretty already. Before I add any more anywhere else, I'm gonna go ahead and just blend that out just in case. I'm gonna try with the same little mini sponge I used with the blush. That's kind of pulling up the other products underneath. And it looks really patchy and kind of gross, and it's not really luminizing anything. I mean, maybe there's kind of a glow, I guess. It just looks kind of patchy and not cute. Let me try with my finger on the other side. I mean, I guess that's a little better than the other side. It didn't get as patchy looking, but I don't know. That just doesn't seem like it melts in with everything else very well, so that we can try another layer. I don't know. Okay, that's getting a little bit better. I think the sponge is not helping me though. I think maybe the sponge is taking up too much product underneath. Yeah, that looks a lot better with the finger. So that's the answer. Patchy with a sponge, beautiful with the finger, potentially even with a brush. Anyway, now that that concludes everything with the cream products, I'm gonna go ahead and set my face. I'm gonna use my Laura Mercier translucent setting powder and my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder in the shade 2 Medium. And I'm gonna go ahead and just set everything. Give me just a minute to do that off camera, and I'll be right back so we can continue with the rest of the product. My face is now set, and I also went in with just a little bit of bronzer and some powder highlight. I also used the contour shade in this palette to create just a little simple eye look and the highlight for brow bone highlight, inner corner highlight. I did run into a little bit of an issue whenever I was setting my face with my Charlotte Tilbury powder, because this is a little bit of a deeper tone, kind of a warmer tone with it being medium. Where I had put the liquid highlighter on my nose, I guess it was still wet, or I guess it doesn't ever set down. I don't really know for sure. But whenever I was setting my face, the orange tone from the powder essentially set the liquid highlighter and turned it into this weird, gross, muddy orange color. So I did have to go in with the highlighter again, which ended up breaking down all of the foundation and concealer and powder that was on my nose down this line. Needless to say, I had to go in with a bunch of the highlighter in this Noon palette just to make it not look like a weird, patchy, gross mess. So that's kind of why I have this really intense nose highlight out of nowhere. But I'm hoping with this next step that I can kind of help blend it in a little bit. And it's even in the name of the next step that I'm gonna remain positive and have a great outlook on this nose highlight, because this is the Always an Optimist 4-in-1 mist. This mist is $24. It's 2.87 fluid ounces, and it is not only a setting spray, but it is also a primer. I didn't use it as a primer. I probably should have, but I didn't. And let's see why it's a 4-in-1. It says it is a glow boosting mist that hydrates, primes, sets, and refreshes. Oh wow, it has little, it's like oil or something inside of it. That smells so good and fresh and wonderful. I actually really enjoy the look of that setting spray. I bet that would be gorgeous just by itself with no other makeup on, or maybe under like a tinted moisturizer or something. I wish I would have used that as a primer now, but I bet that will mix with any kind of foundation except for like a mattifying foundation and help make it a little more glowy and dewy if that's something you're looking for. So with my face now set and sprayed, let's move on to the next product. I feel like it's definitely time to frame the face. My brows need a little bit more emphasis in my opinion, so we're gonna use the Brow Harmony Pencil and Gel. This brow pencil is $22, also comes in 8 different shades, and I have the shade Warm Brown. Ooh, the component for it is very sleek. I like the reflective chrome, again, just like for the blush. We have the pencil, which is in a teardrop form, so you have the sharp point on one side and then a rounded edge on the other for filling and getting those fine details. Then on the other side, which is a little bit thicker, looks like it twists open, and it is, okay, like a brow mascara type gel. Got it. Oh yeah, that is super sharp. Wow. Oops, got a little low there. I don't know that warm brown was necessarily my color. I think I'm a little cooler toned than that, but it's working. It looks okay. Formula seems really nice. It goes on really smooth. It's pigmented. Doesn't feel too waxy. Okay, now that I have defined the areas I want to define with the detail, now let me go in with the gel and see what it does. Okay, warm brown brows are on. Love it. You guys know that I love me a good wing. And to celebrate that love of a good wing, we have the Perfect Strokes Matte Liquid Liner. This was $19, which is really good, in my opinion. That is like phenomenal pricing for a brush tip liner. This is in the shade Black, and I am so hoping that this liner does not fail me, because a wing with this look is gonna be perfect. So the component looks pretty nice, sleek, beautiful, as everything else is in this collection. It has a gold reflective top instead of a chrome one, which, why? I like the chrome. Give me more chrome. We've got a little shaker thing on the inside, and there's the brush tip. It's a rather thick brush tip. Just looks a little short, but let's use it and see what it's like. Ugh, I'm so hungry and I'm shaky, and it's making me very scared to try and draw this wing. Whew, that is so black. Wow, that is crazy pigmented. Jeez. Wow, you have so much control with this. Okay, well, don't judge the liner based on my unevenness. Let's go ahead and check out the next and final product. And that is the Lip Souffle Matte Lip Cream. These are $20 and there are 12 different shades. I got the shade Courage. That's cute. Oh, it looks like each different shade is some kind of characteristic, like Inspire, Courage, Brave, Fearless. Courage is a nude mauve. And if I didn't say it, these are $20 each. We have, again, a matte component. Looks like the same soft nude lid. And then the component itself is the color of the lipstick that's inside, which is nice because if you get the entire range of these, you'll be able to tell them apart in your makeup bag or your storage or whatever you use to put your lipsticks in. And it's got a flat applicator. Oh, my hands are so shaky. I need to go eat some chicken strips. That is so soft. I mean, like plushy. I cannot make a clean line for the life of me right now. Please do not judge lack of straight lines. Straight never suited me anyway. This feels like a bullet lipstick. I like that a lot. Okay, lipstick is now applied and it's so beautiful. But I'm gonna go ahead and go off camera and curl my lashes, throw on some mascara, and I will be right back to give you guys my final thoughts on the brand new launch from Selena Gomez, Rare Beauty. I'll see you guys in just a second. Mascara is applied and now I'm back with the finished look. So now to give my final thoughts, I'm gonna give this on a product by product basis because first of all, as an overall brand, I think it is very reminiscent of kind of what we've seen from other brands. It feels like it's sort of a combination of a couple of different brands whenever I look at it as an overall aesthetic, just with a couple of modifications. But it is a majority of products that people use, buy, and enjoy. So it's not like it's anything that's just super revolutionarily new and out of the box. I think that it is made as a staple brand. And for that, I can appreciate that. Because in an ever-evolving and growing market, people are always gonna wanna have their staples, and I feel like this could very well be many people's staples. Now that being said, I think that majority of these products can work for just about anybody. I think the price is right for everything that I've used. The packaging is cute, it's sleek, it's clean. It would fit on most vanities or bathroom counters without being too obtrusive and awkward looking. When it comes to the foundation and the concealer, I think that the formulas are actually really beautiful. I think they have a very skin-like finish. They're not too matte, they're not too dewy. I just don't know that you would like the foundation if you're trying to build up to the fullest of the full coverage. Like, I don't think a drag queen would love this foundation. I think if you have any major skin disorders that you're wanting to cover up with a foundation, that this probably wouldn't be something you would want. It seems like the formula of the foundation and the concealer itself would fit someone with oily or dry skin depending on how you set your foundation. However, the setting spray, I don't think this would work for you if you have oily skin. After I set this foundation with powder, it felt really good for me. I have normal to dry skin. It felt set in place, it felt locked in, and I actually kind of liked the way it looked and felt. Then once I sprayed it, it gave me a beautiful finish. It looked super wet and dewy and gorgeous on my super dry skin. But I can tell you now, the moment I touch my face, or if anything touches my face, this is going to transfer. Even in the little bit of time that I was putting on the eyeliner and I was touching my face, it was like just peeling off. So this stuff very much so re-wets the skin. I can say though that the foundation and concealer and the complexion products in general are not nearly as the type of makeup as Glossier and Morphe 2 as I thought they were going to be. I thought they were just going to be model type skin products that you would have to have perfect skin to use, and I don't really think that anymore. I think you get enough coverage out of it that it's going to make you feel better about yourself, and it's going to cover up enough to be a beautiful foundation, just like I said, not quite drag queen enough. The lipstick, this is one of my favorite formulas that I've used in a long time. Like I said before, it reminds me of the Nude Sticks Magnetic Lip Plush Paints. These have that fluffy, pillowy matte finish, and so do these. Then the blush, I think the blush is quite beautiful. It's very pigmented though, so a little goes a long way. And I need to bear that in mind. We all need to bear that in mind. The primer is really pretty. I was surprised by this, only because I thought it was gonna be very pore emphasizing, and it's not nearly as much as I thought it was going to be, and I'm pretty sure that's because it is more like if you were to mix a hydrating primer with a liquid highlighter. The liquid highlighter though, this is finicky. If you can figure out how to work with it, and you're careful with it, and you use it just with your finger and not with a sponge, and you don't have to go through all the trial and error that I had to go through, then it is pretty beautiful. It does have a really nice finish, and it's super glowy. I mean, you can see that it's very natural, very skin-like. But on my nose, whenever I had it there before, whenever it broke through the foundation and concealer, it was super intense, very intense. So it can be, if you can build it up that way without it breaking apart everything underneath. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend it because it is so finicky to work with. But if you want to try a really beautiful shimmery highlighter and you want to try to work with it and figure it out, then by all means, give it a shot. You know my thoughts on the liquid eyeliner. I'm not even going to continue to go in on it. And then last, the Brow Harmony product. I like the fact that this is a 2-in-1. I like that you get the pencil and the pomade, or the gel, I'm sorry. This obviously is not my color. I do think it's pretty cool. I like that it has the two products in one, and I think it's worth the money for sure. And with that, that is my opinion on everything from this launch. But I'm more curious as to what you guys think. You saw how everything went. You saw how each item performed. So what do you guys think about the product? Do you like the foundation, the concealer? Do you think the primer was good or not? Please let me know down in the comments below. You guys know that I always love to have a conversation with you, and I always love to know what you think, just in general. Let me know your opinions about the brand and the products. Also, if you did enjoy this review, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up because it does let me know that you like my content, but it also lets others know that you like my content. Also, if you like this look and you want to see more looks like them, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. My username is the same for everything. It's just ChristopherJMUA. And if you gain nothing out of this video, if you gain nothing out of any of my videos, please at least gain this. And that is to always remember and never forget that you are absolutely beautiful. And I love you guys. Bye. I'm never drinking 6 cups of coffee before I film again.